You will be protected from turning into little shriveled, grotesque man-baby child. Like, what does it say? How does it refer to that? Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. My name's Lauren.
And I'm Frank.
And today we are going to be discussing part 3 of chapter 36 in Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
Thick boy.
Yeah, I wish it weren't true.
And yet, it is.
So today we're going to be hoping and praying that this will be the end of chapter 36.
It's gotta be, because at this point...
We had grand hopes of including chapter 37. Probably not.
We got notes.
Probably not happening.
No.
Who knows? Will chapter 37 be its own thing, or will it get sucked into chapter 38? Only time will tell.
But it's not getting sucked into chapter 36, which...
Chapter 36 demanded...
3 whole ass episodes. A month and a half of our damn time.
So annoying.
And yet, we cover Wizard's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th rule in this part of the chapter, so... Just kidding. None of that. None of that's happening.
Nothing important like that.
No.
There is talk of prophecy, though. That's important.
It's a little prophetic chatter, yeah.
Yeah. But something that I want us to all celebrate today...
Yes.
Is that it is the 30th anniversary of Wizard's First Rule being published. The exact date is August 15th, so I think it'll be in 2 days after this goes up.
That makes Wizard's First Rule a Leo.
Oh.
Which...
Yeah. I'm seeing that, yeah. For sure.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was kind of exciting. We're older than it, but not by a lot.
Not by too much.
So... Yeah, this came out when that's interesting. That's like, I'm like, oh, okay, it's pretty freaking old.
5 years old. Maybe 6? 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was 4.
That's wild. The Mask came out this year. Another legendary film. All right. Wait. Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura Pet Detective, and The Mask came out in the same year.
What a year.
Was Jim Carrey just doing like coke and like hitting every single studio in the world?
Yeah, that really is
That's
nuts.
A lot of big bangers back to back.
Yeah, and he's on screen for a lot of all of them. So
all of them.
Another exciting piece of news, everybody.
Yep.
We did in fact procure Happy Cow footage. It has been acquired. That's for the cows. That's for the cows.
Yes.
I hope it goes across the seas and it hits them. Yeah. Wait, every time John writes in fan mail, you need to do that. I'm going to splice in the footage here, hopefully.
So you all can see the happy cows.
Well, here's some happy cows for all the people out there in Seeker and Confessor land. It's a lovely day up north, middle of winter. Been a bit wet, but it's sunny today, so they're all sitting down nice and full, having a chill out. And yeah, life goes on. See you!
Yes! Look at those cows.
That's how you felt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, picturesque, like beyond what I even
That's paradise.
imagined.
Yeah, like Frodo could have been like skipping along in the background.
But just the enclosure for the cows is so lovely.
Yes.
It's so nice.
Wow.
They do look happy.
They do.
He's right.
Richard could have built that enclosure himself. That's how nice it looked. Perfect angles.
Yeah.
Pastoral. Rustic.
I think Richard and Kaylin would like that. I think Terry would like it. I think Richard and Kaylin
Terry
would like it. I guess Zedd would like it. Chase would love it. John seems like he's giving...
Is he giving Branstone vibes?
A bit, yeah.
He's giving Branstone?
Yeah, he's giving the archetypal Chase.
Ladies, John is not single, but if he was...
I was going to say, why are you saying this? He's definitely married.
Find him on his farm. And that's that.
Don't put out there that John is looking for ladies.
I didn't say he was. I'm just saying that ladies should be aware of that so they don't get their hopes up.
Ladies should look for the Chases and the Johns of the world.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you so much for sending that in. That
Amazing.
was so nice.
Love it.
Made me happy to get to see them, especially given how beautiful their surroundings are. It's wonderful. So happy 30th anniversary to Wizard's First Rule, and happy cows.
Happy cows.
We're gonna just jump right into chapter 36. We left off with Richard throwing away the tooth necklace, proof of George's innocence when it comes to the book. When it comes to the Book of Counted Shadows.
Yep.
And Richard is now on watch. Remember, Kaylin, Richard said, our trio's back together again. Richard is afraid of maybe him dying, maybe Kaylin dying because of him being the book. And so away the tooth has gone. And so now Richard has been sitting watch for the night. He heard his little creature that's lurking about.
Something died.
I don't know.
Something else died.
Zedd. Now it's we're approaching time for his watch for the evening. He comes to sit with Richard. He starts off by telling him that Chase is okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, good news. Nobody asked.
And nothing else.
Good news.
Yeah.
Zedd immediately asks Richard, okay, so give up the info. What did Shota tell you when you went to see her? Because I know she said some shit that probably freaked you out. With an edge to his voice, Richard says that is private. He doesn't want to tell Zedd. And Zedd immediately says, it goes back to, I feel like Zedd just keeps doing this. I see, you're having trouble controlling the anger of the sword. Yep. Nothing can ever just be like Zedd is pissing people off, Zedd's making people upset. It's always, it's because Kaylin did that. It's because the sword. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me.
I think it's you.
I think you're contributing.
I think you're stumbling in and eating half my fucking dinner. I'm going to be pissed. It's not the sword.
I remember when you thought his big appetite was so charming and quirky, and now you feel like it's something about Zedd that you hate.
That's not... No, it's just something that could irritate if he's irritated.
And he is.
And so that's what I'm saying. I don't hate that about him.
I found that to be, again, an irritating response. He just does not seem to be taking ownership of anything.
Yep.
Richard immediately pivots and he's like, you know what we could talk about in regards to Shota and the trip there is little freaky Samuel, okay? That's what I want to talk about.
Zedd's like, who? Never heard of him.
I want to talk about that weird little man that I saw, okay?
Uh-huh.
And you can't blame him. So then he's pissed. He gets angry. He grabs Zedd by the robes and he's shaking him and being like, what the actual fuck was that? And why...
Who was that little freak?
Yeah, who the fuck was that? And why is he telling me that I'm going to become a little freak? I haven't heard anything about that from you, sir.
Which... fucked, right? Pretty fucked.
It is.
No, that's pretty fucked.
And so Zedd is calm through this, as the wizards are usually when somebody freaks out at them. Order
they keep
of
it
the
together.
Phoenix,
they knew.
Harry ruining Dumbledore's office, and Dumbledore just being like, "Go for it, King.
Go for it."
And
I can fix this with magic in 2 seconds.
Richard says, "Wizard's first rule? Is that how wizards find someone to take the sword? Just find someone stupid enough to not know better, and there you go, a new seeker."
I just read that again. There you go, a new seeker. Modern.
Do you have any other little things you forgot to tell me? Any other little unpleasant things I ought to know? Based.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, that could have been written a little more fluid.
I don't know.
Any more little baby things? Any more tiny little inconvenient little baby things? Just you read it and you're like, yeah, all right, yeah.
I just find someone stupid enough to not know better, and there you go. I think that's kind of funny.
And there you go. And there you have it. XO.
Zedd says, "I'm truly sorry, my boy, that she has hurt you so. Actually, fuck off." Am I wrong? Were you pissed when you read this?
Yeah, what the fuck? And he goes along with it.
I know, everybody does. I do think
Terry's crazy.
Yeah, I do think we're supposed to be like, is that so right? Is that
He's so right? That is the problem. No, that is a problem. That is a huge wound. Richard is being logically angry.
He feels hurt that you would put him in a position to have this be the outcome of his life without telling him.
Yeah, why? Once again, it's like the Horner's Mill situation. It's like if Zedd, said he didn't tell him that the sword makes you age, you'll die a year sooner or whatever. It's something like mild where it's like there was a cost and he didn't fully tell him because of the world ending. You'd be like, yeah, all right, but it's like Richard is distraught. He's depressed about this Kaelin thing 100%. He wants to die. He wants to go in across the river like Frodo at the end of Lord of the Rings after this.
I don't know if it's that bad. He wants to go back to Westland.
He wants to get rid of the sword, go back to Westland, live in a hole, and not talk to anyone the rest of his life.
I don't think he said that part.
Kinda. He's being moody as hell. But Zedd didn't tell him he's going to turn into a little freak. That's a big deal.
And honestly, that's the thing. I think it's kind of fucked, but okay if Zedd was like, yeah, you're right. I didn't tell you because I needed the world to not die.
No, and then that would be interesting.
I was willing to make that choice. Unfortunately, you were the collateral damage in a sense.
Against my own heart. And
then all the stuff he's about to say where he's like, maybe it won't happen, could have come up. But instead, he's like, no. Actually, the sword is making you angry. Kaelin's making you angry. Shota's making you angry.
Zedd, you're making me angry.
I made a choice, and it is kind of fucked up. I did it for the good of the world, but I am really sorry that I had to do that to you, Richard, as your good friend Zedd. No, it's everybody else.
Everybody else. Deflect, and we're probably never going to hold them accountable for it.
No, we're definitely not. No. I don't think.
No, I think Terry viewed this as a good man.
Let us know, is Zedd held accountable for this awful behavior? And if not, hashtag cancel Zedekazul Zorander in the comments. Because I'm not into his attitude. I'm not into his lack of personal responsibility. For somebody that is really big on personal responsibility, I'm seeing none.
Own it.
Anyway, fuck you, Zedd. I'm done. Richard starts crying and hugs Zedd and says, I just want to go home. I hate the Midlands. I hate magic. And then Zedd says, nothing is ever easy. Which, did Richard say that? Somebody else said that
Someone
at some point.
said. Maybe it's Zedd again. Maybe
I don't know if it's Zedd saying or Richard also says it because him and Zedd say it. I don't know. Richard says, I don't want to go on. What if Samuel? Is that what is to become of me? I'm sorry, Richard. I don't know. I gave you the sword against my own heart to save everyone else. That's what the sword does to you in the end.
Then you need to... It's the sort of fucking truth.
Not
not the sort of... It's not the sort of big moon magic where you need to use it to beat the big bad guy, but then it will turn you into a frog. It's the sort of truth,
right? Which
turns you into a little gremlin freak.
But the sort you would think having to give somebody the sort of truth would require you to be truthful. I would think it wouldn't. But I guess in the past they've been using the sort of truth to give it to people they know are not seekers. So clearly you don't need to be truthful.
Okay, so can we talk about that?
Okay.
So, a couple of questions, right? So, assuming the Midlands had not entirely gone to shit through the entirety of Zedd's lifespan, which it seems like it hadn't, someone must have been a true seeker during his life, right? Do all true seekers also turn into Samuels? Does everyone turn into Samuels except for...
Yes.
And they go, it's worth the burden to turn into a fucking...
Well, my question is, can
guppy
you just...
man?
Clearly you... Okay, because we did that whole situation where we, made Kaelin briefly the Seeker in that one chapter towards the beginning, and then made her the Seeker.
Oh, yeah.
So that's proof that you can, in fact, be the Seeker for a period of time, and then not be the Seeker.
Also true.
And then you're good,
Is
right?
Kaylin
Unless
fucked?
Kaylin would, because of that 10 minutes, she's now going to turn into Samuel. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So then if that's the case, why couldn't it just be like, dude, don't worry about it. Just do this thing and then we'll just take it away from you.
That should be the entire... Yeah, by the time this is over, it probably won't have been long enough. You just unequipped and we'll be good.
And he keeps saying,
I want to get rid of the sword.
I'm getting rid of the sword. So I'm like, is it because he used it...
To kill? Maybe like once you start it up like a chainsaw. Like once it goes off, you're fucked. Like...
What? Yeah, I guess.
Maybe.
I do think it's like shady and weird thematically to have Zedd give it to him without giving him the information.
It is, but Zedd sucks right now.
You have to be
enemy.
you have to be the keeper of truth, the seeker of truth. You need to take truth so seriously.
Don't ever believe that people from your country could hurt anyone.
But I lied.
But I lied. When I gave it to you, I fucking lied. I don't need to tell the truth.
My bad.
I don't think that fits, actually. Why is it so long? It's still going.
Is that Frodo?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I don't... All right. Sorry.
So Zedd knew the whole time. He just didn't inform him. The prophecies say that the one who truly masters the sword's magic, and in doing so makes the blade turn white, will be protected from this fate. But I don't know how it's to be done. I don't even know what it means. I didn't have the courage to tell you. I guess this is him taking responsibility. I'm sorry. I guess he's taking it here.
That's not enough.
Only after deflecting it to being like, because he's already set the precedent of like, okay, I'm sorry, but also a lot of the anger you're putting towards me is not mine. If you want to strike, well, I guess he's really taking responsibility. If you want to strike me dead for what I've done to you, only promise you will go and stop Dark and Raw. So
if he did this first, without the deflection.
Why didn't he just say that?
Editor. Who is the editor to this book? What kind of crackerjack bullshit prophecy is this, though? Like, what kind of, like, on the back of a cereal box shenanigans is this?
What do you mean?
Read it again.
The prophecies, multiple, say that the one who truly masters the sword's magic, and in so doing, makes the blade turn white and will be protected from that fate. I want to know how that's worded. You will be protected from turning into... little shriveled, grotesque man-baby child. Like, what does it say? How does it refer to that state of being?
Some sort of fetish receptacle baby man. Like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
You master the sword's magic, you make the blade turn white.
Yeah.
Cool. Like Zelda?
Well... what's wrong with... okay, we're just delving into, like, classic fantasy imagery now. Why are you, like, unpacking that?
Because it's goofy and lazy. And I want more. I could come up with a better thing to have happen at the end of this story to prevent him from turning into this guy in an afternoon.
What would it be?
I don't know, I need an afternoon.
Keep thinking about it. I'm going to check back in.
Sure.
In 15 minutes.
What the prophecies will say.
Richard says he can't kill Zedd because Zedd is all he is allowed to love. And how could he kill that? He should kill himself. I think that's a little overdramatic, but I think Richard's probably just in an overdramatic headspace right now.
Absolutely.
But I'm always like, dude, you can, like, just because you can't fuck Kaylin doesn't mean you can't, like, love her. Even just because you're talking about Zedd, so clearly we're not talking about sexual romantic love. So why can't you love her as a friend? I don't understand.
He can, but that's, like, not that good, you know? He wants that spirit house sussy, you know?
Yeah, no shit. But I don't know.
Might as well end it all. That's what he's saying.
Zedd tells him not to say such a thing about killing himself. And he understands how Richard feels about hating magic. He's like, me too. That's why I left the Midlands as well. And he says, sometimes events happen that you just have to deal with. You are all I have left. I went after the book because I didn't want you to be in danger.
He didn't leave the Midlands because he hates magic.
Yeah, he did.
He's the biggest wizard around. He loves magic. He left because he didn't like the politics and the people.
Well, he didn't like, the way the Quad and Dark and Raw used the magic against his family.
Yeah, no one would like that, but that's not the magic's fault. And I feel like he would go on a 7-page rampage if you tried to imply it was the magic's fault.
That's true. On another day. On another day, that is true.
He's trying to relate to the sad boy. That's what it is.
I would do anything to spare you hurt, but I cannot spare you this. We have to stop Dark and Rawl. Richard says he knows, and he won't quit until they do that, and then maybe he'll give up the sword, which, like, again, that just seems like the easy solution. I think it's because, like, Zedd knows a bunch of the prophecies are about Richard, so he's aware Richard is not going to give up the sword.
So then he might turn into the Samuel.
So he's speaking to him,
I see.
You know, with the assumption that he won't be doing that because the prophecies suggest, even though the rest of the chapter is going to be about how we should never, like, make any decisions
based
around
on prophecies. Yeah.
So that kind of
based
devalues.
on predictions from which women?
Well, that especially
that's some bullshit prophecy.
All prophecies you are supposed to be suspicious, but those prophecies in particular are different.
Her gutter mouth produced. Whatever swamp gas ass bullshit came out of Shona's mouth, throw it where it belongs in the latrine. That's what Zedd said.
Okay. So Zedd tells Richard he doesn't believe he's going to turn into Samuel.
No.
And worst case scenario, it's like way in the future that would happen anyway. This kind of, actually, I thought made sense. He was like, if in fact you get to a point where you even could turn into Samuel, that means we literally stop Dark and Rawl and save the entire world. So, like, you can at least, like, live a while feeling good about that. Sure. Which he's right.
Sure. Yeah. But I thought you knew nothing about it.
What do you mean?
How do you know? What's the time limit on this?
I mean, I guess he doesn't know why you turn into a Samuel, but he, like...
He figures you got a couple of years at least, so...
Well,
you'll definitely last till winter, like...
I think he's saying, like, this doesn't happen till you're, like, 50-something. He says that if it happens, I will always take care of you. And I thought that was I was like, that was the only thing so far that I was like, oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. That's very that's first fatherly thing that he has said. A little, like, on the back of the fact that the only reason Richard would be turning into Samuel is because
his
of
fault.
So yeah, I fucking hope so.
Yeah, I would think you would do that. Thanks,
that is
champ.
sweet to know that he would care for him.
Cool.
That's
After
nice.
you screwed me over and I saved the world, you'll not abandon me. Thank you, Grandpa.
Thanks so much. And he says maybe we'll also figure out how to turn the blade white. I think we might do it, bro.
All right, fair enough. You got the #1 wizard in the world being like, we'll crack the books. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
If I were Richard, yeah, I think I would just keep being like, I'm just gonna, like, get rid of it.
I'm gonna throw it in the fucking lake. Don't worry about it. Quick backtrack. What do you think this means?
What?
When Zedd approached him at first, he was eating meat, and he offered Richard some, and Richard turned him down. Much like the Mud People.
Yeah.
I don't know if it means anything, but the offering of meat and it being turned down by the Seeker from various sources is interesting.
Or I guess it's like foreshadowing his pivot to vegetarianism. I think that happens.
Oh, Richard?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or I think. Did I make that up?
Oh, I don't know. Dark and Rawl doesn't eat meat.
Right. I was going to say that too.
Oh.
I was like, they're both having an aversion to flesh.
That
but
makes
Richard,
sense.
Richard did eat the meat.
He's been eating salt.
People. Kaylin doesn't eat it, but Richard.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Scratch that.
So,
whole point garbage.
Maybe he's just put off of meat from that experience.
Yeah,
though.
true. The human meat. Yeah.
He was like, I have to do it, and now he's kind of like, ugh, you know.
Okay.
Frank always claims that he would eat human meat.
There's stipulations, but I definitely would if I could.
I definitely would not. Viewer, would you eat human meat?
Answer in the comments below
comments.
if you would consume human flesh.
Would you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I'm very interested. I would never go out of my way to get it. But if there was a way that I could, that was somehow both safe, legal, and willing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm too in my head. Like, it's the...
What, are you afraid you're going to get, like, the flesh-eating,
No. It's just
cravings?
No, it's just psychologically too, like, repugnant to me.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
That, like, I just don't want to.
I think if I think about it too much, I could definitely gross myself
That's
out.
what I'm saying, but you're able to not think and just do. I'm not capable of that. Richard gets up to go to sleep. He says, sorry I've been so hard on you tonight to Zedd. No, you haven't. Actually, you've been extremely easy on him and allowed him to get away with so much shit.
I guess he did threaten to stab him in the ribs earlier, but that wasn't... He didn't know it was him. So that's not... Sister Spider clarified all that.
Quite literally, just completely logical.
Yeah.
He hasn't been hard on Zedd at all, really. And he tells Zedd about the thing that's following them. He says to, like, watch out for it. He doesn't think it's dangerous, but you never know. And as he's walking away, Zedd calls out, just be glad she cares for you as much as she does. If she didn't, she might have touched you. And then Richard says, I'm afraid in a way she already has.
Wait. I lied.
Okay. Why are we just saying it in terms of stop? Are we just saying it in terms of like she just would have touched him because one, she like is so horny for him. Not that Zedd knows about that. Number two,
I don't think that's it.
Because she just would have been like, it's so much easier if the Seeker's just controlled by me.
Yeah, I think that one.
But again, I don't understand that concept. I don't even think any of the benefits from having a Seeker would be essentially erased via doing that. Other than...
I don't know.
Right?
Are they actually zombies, or are they like able to use their brain, but the number one thing they want to use it for is to make you happy?
I don't think so. I keep getting the sense that they're so zombified that they're not thinking at all independent of you. Maybe not. Maybe. I guess it makes sense if they can maintain, like, if Richard could be clever the way he is.
But it's just all for her.
Oh, only for
That's
Kaylin?
gonna be why it works, and that's so annoying. He's immune, obviously.
Because he already feels that way.
He already would.
He already
does everything for her. He already loves her with his whole being. It couldn't even affect him at all. Didn't do anything to him because he already just love maxed the shit out of him.
So then are we implying, like, when Kaylin goes to, like, a murderer and she touches him and he's like, I love you, and then Richard's standing there, we're like, this is the same phenomena before me. Is it?
No, in his heart, he feels the same intensity that she forces the murderer to
honestly, that kind of works.
It works. It's fine.
It doesn't not work.
What doesn't work about it is I don't know if that power actually is love.
No, exactly. What doesn't work about it is before that, where I'm just like, I'm not understanding the love connection and how this develops. It doesn't feel like love. That doesn't make sense to me. But yes, if I buy into that, then sure, that's a fine conclusion.
And then if Richard gets angry at Kaylin, or like it has any sudden feelings of whatever in his heart towards her, is he then not immune?
That's what I'm saying.
Do they have to be on like the best terms 24/7?
Right, she's like, don't piss me off because
then that'll piss you off, and then that'll get you.
We can't have sex unless you are even if
committed.
if I pissed you off, we can't do it because it's dangerous.
Damn.
So why do you think Zedd said that? Why is he suggesting she would have touched Richard if she didn't care about him?
Zedd just has a negative view on confessors.
I guess so.
I think he's just like, they're crazy little witch bitches, and they'll just zap your ass if they feel like it.
Why, he seemed to like Kaylin a lot, like when they first met up.
No, when they first met up, he was like, get away from that thing.
Oh yeah, he did say that.
But then why? And then he liked her, the person, and now he's chill with her.
I don't know. But they were like confessors and wizards.
I know, that doesn't really make sense, right?
I mean, unless they were feuding constantly in Idendrill, that would be fun, I guess.
What, the confessors are sticking forks in the wizards' lawns?
Were any of the side series about Idendrill, like what life was like in the city? That would have been cool. Now Zedd's doing his watch. Then Kaylin comes to take over for Zedd. And he asks if she has food. She brought him biscuits and rabbit. He eats it and asks, is that all you brought? And then she's like, haha, I also have berries. Can I share them with you? And then Zedd's like, well, you're small, so I guess it's okay. I get that it's supposed to be all, this cute, quirky thing about him. But, like, some part of me is just like, you're rude and, like, annoying and selfish. But anyway, I think I'm just reading.
Is that the game they're playing, though?
I guess so.
It's annoying. I don't like it. Also, you're a wizard. Make your own fucking food.
Like, I don't know. I guess, because, like, I want to be like, you fucking cook for them sometimes, man. But,
I've never seen it.
You know, he's doing his, like, I'll take the watch that nobody likes.
He's also one-shotting guards. They need him.
Yeah, for sure.
He's using, like, half his mana to blow people apart.
Zedd says to Caitlin, thanks for keeping your word not to use your power on Richard. Caitlin says that Zedd is the person who understands her life the best because of, again, the Iden drill and being the last confessor. He's kind of like the last wizard, kind of. And how Richard really can't comprehend what it means to be a confessor. And I don't know, she didn't really reply to what he said.
No.
Like, she just started a new conversation. So she says she has no one and begs Zedd to use his magic to make her not a confessor any longer. And yeah, Zedd hits her with one.
Dude.
You wanna tell him?
I only know of one way to separate you from your magic.
Oh my God.
She's like, what's that?
How?
Killing you, bitch. Like,
What the fuck?
Yo, you
Why
asshole.
Why get her hopes up even for that, like, 20 seconds?
It's like such a dad thing to do,
You
though.
crazy?
It's so shitty.
Don't do that.
I know of one way. And she's like, I'll do anything. He's like, will you die? Like, fuck you.
I'm kind of surprised. Like, I guess she know this already? That there's no way.
They live with wizards.
They live with the wizards, and, like, you're telling me...
Was she just like, this wizard's stronger than the other wizard? He might know.
Maybe that. Maybe she was, like, the confessor community was like, you can never not be a confessor. There's no way. And she was like, maybe they're lying. Because they might be.
They weren't. Death's the only way out.
Well, yeah, so Zedd can't help her with that. Zedd says Caitlin has to tell him what Shota said to Richard. She's like, ask him, not my problem. She says, I was too busy being covered in snakes. Which
we remember.
We
know all about that.
And Zedd says, snakes? Shota must have liked you. I've seen her do worse.
And I agree. I think Shota did like her.
I think so, too. That was a feeling I got. Yeah, right, because the snakes were, like, manifestations of, like, Shota's energy, and they had some of her will in them, I think, and they wanted to go on her boobies. So that means that Shota, on some level, wanted to go on her boobies.
What's your AO3 username again? What's your, What's the Kaylin / Shota porn? Like, what am I looking up here?
What would their ship name be? It would be, like,
Coda? Or...
No, but, like, something more like...
Shayla?
No,
like a fun title?
Yeah, like it would be like Truth Broom. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like the Truth Broom ship.
Broom because she's a witch?
Yeah, like something like that.
Alright.
Yeah, I don't have an AO3 username. Okay. Actually, that's not totally true. But it's not related. First of all, it's old.
Confess!
It's old.
Confess!
And
I'm touching you!
I've not indulged in any sort of truth readings.
How much you think's on there?
Oh, we've looked. It's not a lot.
It's like nothing, right?
It's really not much. It's wild.
59 entries.
59? That is so low. That's one of the lowest things I've ever looked up, ever. Do we think Duchess Lumholtz, man, is on here writing fanfic?
The first page has no mention of Duchess. No Duchess.
Okay, he's all visuals. He doesn't write.
Yeah, he's all visuals.
He's all visuals, that guy.
Kaylin and Richard. Kaylin, Richard, and Kara. Kaylin and Kara.
There you go.
Incredible.
There you go. Is anybody writing about Shota? That's the real question.
Let's see. She's in the tags, but I don't know if...
Nobody's featuring her.
No.
Mistake. A mistake, yeah.
Considering how big those knockers are. Matters of the heart.
Who's that?
Dahlia and Kara. Dahlia, Kara, and Dark and Roll.
Oh my god. Ooh. Who's Dahlia?
I think another
Wordsit?
Another Morty.
With Dark and Raw in the mix?
Yeah, we're getting freaky, you know it.
I want to read that.
Oh, well.
Okay, so anyway, Caitlin's like, don't ask me about what the fuck Shota said. I was busy being covered in snakes. Yeah, so then Zedd says, Shota must have liked you if that's all she did. I've seen her do worse. And then she said, she did worse to me too. And I was like, does she, like, just mean via telling them the prophecies.
Yeah, that's what she means. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zedd means like torture, but whatever.
Or, those snakes biting you, or
Yeah,
anything
things
other
like
than
that.
just arousing you.
Richard won't tell me. You must, says Zedd, and she says, you asked me to betray his trust. No, thank you. And
don't make me betray my only friend.
Yeah, Richard. Zedd says Richard is super smart, but he knows nothing about the Midlands, which is his strength. So again, I can't even remember. Somewhat recently, I brought up I thought that's what they were trying.
Well,
it was something with Kaelin being stupid and Richard knowing
about
something,
the hair.
Probably that.
Yeah.
And I was like, they love this idea.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like this idea, but you have to do it well and give me examples that I'm actually like, wow, that makes sense. You wouldn't have thought of that if you lived there.
Yeah.
And maybe he would, but none of the ones I've been given have felt that way.
No.
So
Certainly not.
Zedd's like, only he would have possibly even gotten the information from Shota, because nobody in the Midlands would have even bothered trying to go there. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. And then he says there are creatures in the Midlands who will use the magic of the Sword of Truth against him. So I'm just really worried about him and we need to help.
Like who? I wonder if that's coming up so soon.
Creatures.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah, how prolific are the Mordsith?
There's a group of them that live in Dahara. I think that's it.
No, but in the Midlands, do we know about, is everybody in the know about Mordsith?
Well, it seems like they are, yeah, I don't know. At least these guys. I don't think everyone, Horner's Mill probably hadn't heard of him.
I'm not sure, but if Zedd knew about the Mordsith, he really should have warned him, but he didn't warn him about anything, including that he was going to turn into Gollum, so this tracks. So yeah, she does say, he's my only friend, I can't betray him, and then he's like, I'm your friend too, you have to help me protect him. I'm not going to tell him you told me. Very fourth grade girl gossip shit.
Yeah.
I won't tell you tell me, but I won't tell him you told me. And then she's like, he's gonna find out.
Of course he is, though. There was one other person there.
Zedd says, Mother Confessor, this is not a request. This is an order. I expect you to treat it as such. Kaelin is angry and she no longer has a say in the matter. So I guess this is magic.
He invoked wizard law.
Is this how Idendrill works? Can the wizards, do they always have power over the confessors to command them in this way?
I think it seems like, yeah. But I think at the end of this, it goes the other way as well. So I think it's they have the power to command each other.
That seems dangerous and weird.
You ain't kidding.
She's like, you're going to try and kill him. You'll use wizard's fire against him, but he has a chance to beat you. There's a chance you're going to fail. She said that I'm going to use my power on him. And if I do, he has absolutely no chance against it. And if I live, I will not fail in doing that. So Zedd's like, why didn't Shota kill you? And then she's like, oh my god, she was going to. But then actually there was
she so wanted to.
She really wanted to, but then there was this illusion of you that was there.
Alright, yeah, we all know what the fuck happened. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Sent the wizard fire back, and then she had to give him a wish because I don't know why she had to, and then he wished us out. Okay,
that makes
no sense.
No sense.
I think he was just supposed to be ancient witch, logic.
He didn't help her.
Yeah, he didn't. Well,
he helped her.
He theoretically did.
In theory, which shouldn't bound her to any fate. She made it up. It's a test of him, but it's not...
But that's the whims of the witch,
Yeah, but if the fate of the world, including yourself, is at risk, maybe you don't do that test that time. Don't give him an option to save her. Something stupid. I don't know.
Zedd says, that boy never fails to amaze me. He really picked the information over my life. How wondrous. That's precisely what he should have done.
Do you think the Sword of Truth will turn white when he blocks the wizard's fire for real? Probably.
Is that mastering? I would assume maybe. Whatever is going to make him master the anger magic of the sword is going to have to be him. Something he, really truly has the right to be angry about, but it's impractical for others.
True.
So he has to, despite the anger magic, not be angry for the benefit of someone else. That would be my guess.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Kaylin says she wished Shota would kill her, but she wouldn't. I kept trying to unalive myself for days. I lost my mind. Richard convinced me we didn't know what the prophecy meant, and that maybe, like, he'd be the traitor, so then I, like, got over it. And
light bondage happened.
A little bit. And Zedd apologizes for making her tell him and for what she went through, but he's like, I so agree with Richard about the prophecy. Like, oh my god, they're never true.
They're so bad. They're so bad. You can't trust them at all. I just told him about one. And that seemed to help him get to sleep, but
yeah.
This fucking guy.
She's like, but a witch woman's prophecies are always true, aren't they?
Oh, everybody knows that.
Yes, but not how we think. And sometimes they are self-fulfilling. And Kaylin's like, really? Idendrill, wouldn't prophecy chat be like,
I don't know what else they're doing there.
What are they doing? Wizards and confessors are all hanging out. You guys aren't talking about prophecies? I mean, I get later he says, like, I don't know. It's like
she's there's such a backlog of pedophiles to murder that she just has no time for chatter.
Yeah, Midlands is just filled to the brim.
Yep. Every man that's not a hero is a pedophile murderer.
Kinda. Definitely, like, adjacent, close by. Yeah, for sure. Zedd tries to explain what a self-fulfilling prophecy is to Kaylin. He's like, imagine if I tried to kill you because of that prophecy, and then Richard tries to fight me, and he wins. He worries since that half of the prophecy came true, now he needs to kill you to make sure that the second part doesn't happen. But without the prophecy, none of that would have happened. But I'm like, how much does that matter? Right? Like, if you're saying that the prophecy is going to come true, I don't know that... Can you... If it's a self-fulfilling one, can you break it?
I know it's trite, but I like putting prophecies at the beginning so that I could dwell on them as the story is unfolding and try and figure out where the pieces are going to fit together. Mm-hmm. I hate this shit. Oh, actually, there's a prophecy, and this is what's going to happen. And then it's just going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, even in Harry Potter, they made it better. You got prophecies, like, books ahead. They were just sitting there.
I guess
who knows what it means? And they didn't pay off great, but they're paying off better than this. This is going to be a 1-for-1. He will block the sword like you.
I know that. I'm, like, because I'm not 100... It's not like I can sit here and be like, this is how the scene's going to go down. I don't feel like I can.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself means, like, I'll probably be like, oh, okay, that's fun when it happens. I don't know. I guess that's all I'm really looking for.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of can, so...
You can?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe I just don't care it. If I really sat and had to think about it, maybe.
They're in the Garden of Life. Zedd finds out he's got the book in him. He tries to kill him. He blocks it.
It's going to be that. Darkenraw's going to be like, I'm using my magic to compel you to tell me what's in the Book of Counted Shadows. Zedd's like, why do you know the Book of Counted Shadows? Richard's like, out of his mind. And yeah. There we go.
But he's faking it.
Oh, yeah, he will be.
He really topped from the bottom for a while, I think. Yeah. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Okay, but my point stands. Do you think when he says, like, oh, you shouldn't take prophecies seriously, for example, self-fulfilling prophecies happen, does that imply I could break it if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy? And if I can't, who cares? Right? Because it's still going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't, like, it's just like, oh, well, yeah, they do always come true, but it's self-fulfilling. That doesn't make me feel better.
Yes, he's saying
just,
as long as you don't hear it, it won't happen.
Right, exactly.
Or what? Like, if you do hear it, you're just going to find a way to make it happen, so ignore it.
But no, I mean, it's not ignore it, it'll happen.
It'll happen.
If you're saying by virtue of it being a self-fulfilling prophecy, you can make sure it doesn't happen, that's good info.
Yeah.
So she's like, I always thought that you should really take your prophecies seriously. And Zedd says, yeah, they are to be taken seriously, but only by those who understand such things. Wizards used to dedicate themselves to studying them. I've read some prophecies so scary I wake up at night in a sweat thinking about them. There are things I know and some I think may be about Richard that scare me, but I don't really understand them.
I don't think anything happens in this entire series
that would make somebody...
that's scarier than what Darkenraw's doing right now. That would, so much so that you wake up in a sweat.
Yeah, like, is Jagang a scarier threat than this right now? Later?
Like, it's the same threat, but slower, in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? He's gonna eventually take over enough brains that he is in charge of the whole world.
Okay, but maybe, like, you read a bunch of those sorts of things and you're just stressed out. Because you're like, wow, look at how many ways this could happen and might happen.
True. Fair enough.
Yeah, he, like, knows some prophecies are about Richard. He suspects some prophecies are about Richard, and they're very scary, but he doesn't understand them. Kaylin's amazed Richard's in them, and she says she's never met anyone in the Book of Prophecies before. Which, I'm confused. I'm like, do you know who's in them to know that you haven't met somebody in them? I would assume if you're going to meet anybody in the Book of Prophecies, Idendrel would be the place, because I imagine the wizards are mentioned and the confessors, right? If you want me to buy how important the Mother Confessor role is, and the fact that she is the Mother Confessor and is like one of the best Mother Confessors, and is surrounded by some of the most powerful people in the Midlands, I think that it would make more sense for Kaylin to be like, I don't know what the prophecies say, but of course I'm surrounded by the people of prophecy. That's who we are.
Apparently not.
Who the fuck else is? Who else? Like, we genocided all of these people because they're the most powerful.
Yes.
Who else? So then Zedd's like, you are also in the Book of Prophecies, which, like, of course you are.
But if she didn't know she was in the Book of Prophecies,
right?
Why is this bitch talking about she never met anyone that was in the Book of Prophecies? Have you read it? You're
That's
in
what
it.
I mean. I don't know what information you have about the prophecies to know if someone was in it or not. And then she's like, my name's in there, whatever. And he's like, sort of, but, like, that's not really how it works. It'll say, like, the last Mother Confessor, or the Seeker who compels the wind against the heir to Dahara. Okay, what?
You know, Richard.
That guy.
Temple of the...
So then they're both like, command the wind. I don't know. What does that mean? That nobody knows. Kaylin asks what they say about her. Zed's like, I'm not going to tell you because you'll never sleep again. And then Kaylin says she feels stupid that she wanted to kill herself over the prophecy, and Zedd must think she's stupid. I don't know why that's your conclusion now. Then Zedd says there's a giant book that has a whole page dedicated to the quote, take these prophecies of mind, not to heart. And all the letters are gilded on the quote on that page. Wow. That's how serious this is.
Holy shit.
To mind, not to heart. I think she should have said that after he said that, not before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I get that he's saying it to, like, reinforce, like, oh, no, you're not stupid. It's I don't know, but it kind of feels like that would be a good response to that information.
Yes. I
right?
agree.
Like, where you'd be like, oh, wow, now I feel dumb. I didn't realize it worked like that. So then Kaylin's like, oh, but a prophecy from Shota is different than a prophecy that you find in a book. I don't know why she says that, but Zedd agrees. And he's like, yeah, a prophecy given from one person to another is meant as an aid to that person. So Shota was trying to help Richard, and she probably doesn't even know what the fuck it means when she said it, which is well, she kind of seemed like she did know, or she, like, suspected.
It seems relatively straightforward with one twist.
Yeah. She was trying to help him. I guess that's relevant. And then doesn't really know what it means. She's just channeling. But I'm like, so then it begs the question. You're like, where are all these divine sources coming from, right? Like,
good question.
Where is a prophecy coming from, like, divine, like, in the sense of divinity?
Terry's extensive pantheon is quite impressive.
Yeah, I don't think he has one.
There's nothing. No. There's no named ancient people. There's no god end. It's just the good spirits. It's just the vibes of the universe.
There's, like, some part, like, some way of doing that I'd probably like, sort of.
Course,
but, yeah. I am just like, okay, she's a channel. Channel for what? Like, how, even if you don't give me anything, like, concrete, I'm like, how does Zedd conceptualize that? I'd like to know.
And we have an afterlife.
Right,
so, like there's some sort of...
Zedd could just ask his parents, quite frankly. They should be able to tell us.
Who's God? Who's, like, where did magic come from? We got a lot of questions here.
I don't know.
And we have nothing even approaching an answer.
So Zedd was hoping he'd be able to understand the prophecy. That's why he wanted to know, but he can't, because it's a forked prophecy. And then Kaylin says, meaning it can go different ways? Yeah.
That is a fork. Yes.
And then he's like, yeah, they're basically useless. But I'm like, what was forked about it?
It is forked because
Is
if
it?
Kaylin touches him and he's not fully in love with her, he'll lose. But if he is fully in love with her, it'll work, and that won't be his downfall. I'm not really sure what's forked, and I don't know what from that quote is what clued him into that fact.
He says, Richard has the instincts of a seeker, knowing not to follow the prophecy too closely. Kaylin asks Zedd why he doesn't tell Richard this. Zedd explains Richard does better feeling things than, like, thinking or knowing things. So he compares it to shooting a bow, which Kaylin says she has done a few times because it was something that girls were not supposed to do. And that made her want to do it as a child. And she started doing that. She did it for a little bit before she started taking confessions, which I take to mean before puberty, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so what does that mean?
I feel like that was just like a clumsy way of like giving her characterization.
But okay, so if we take it beyond that, like what's the symbology there, right? Pre-pubescent, she's shooting arrows. What does that mean?
Like, I think maybe it's just supposed to be, like, imagery of, like, Kaylin had this, like, wild child heart, and she wanted to be, like, free and, like, not constrained by, like, gender ideals and, like, ideals in general. And then we're supposed to be like, oh, look at how beaten down she is by the constraint of the mother confessor role.
Forcing her to be a thing that she doesn't fully feel like.
Yeah, like...
So she's got more
both,
to her
like,
than
from a
to...
woman perspective, mother, perspective, but also, like, power and all of that.
It's interesting, because, I guess she's implying that it's a stereotypically masculine thing to do. And being the mother, and then the confessor's power being entirely feminine.
Yeah.
Because the men are destroyed. She's simultaneously forced to be an archetypal woman who cannot experience feminine pleasures.
Right.
And then she has this masculine side.
Well, feminine pleasures, like, yeah, in the stereotypical sense, but also, like, just, like, in general, like, she can't just be, like, a soft lady.
And people don't want close she can't touch people.
Yeah.
Like, she can't have that contact,
Yeah, so I think, maybe it's, like, drawing on that juxtaposition of like her, I don't know, it's like she kind of didn't want to, but then that kind of plays into her being good in the role because she's like constrained in a sense by being the mother confessor and having that like feminine title and the dress and all of it, but also there is a masculinity to being the mother confessor and being that powerful and not getting all of those things that maybe plays into her wanting that when she's young.
Yeah, I see that.
When she's young, she doesn't know she's going to be the mother confessor because she doesn't know how strong she is yet.
It evokes a little Diana, too.
Zedd's talking about Richard shooting bow and arrows. How he can detect the target, but if you start telling him about the wind and the distance from where he's standing, it will interfere with his ability to do it because then he'll start overthinking it. And he can't hit the target as easily with the information. He does better without it. I get that.
Sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that's
flow state versus over-analysis.
Zedd says he does the same thing with people. I need to point him towards the target and just let him feel his way there. I can't let his desire to please me get in the way. Those seem like different points.
That's kind of,
right? Like, one is just like any information, regardless of pleasing me or not, muddles his ability to intuit his way to what he needs to do. And then also, like, put too much expectation on him. He won't use his intuition because he'll be trying to, like, make it work in the direction I want him to go. I just feel like they're totally separate, sort of.
It feels like an attempt at a point.
Then I thought it was weird. Kaylin's response to that was to say that she thought it was cynical. And I was like, that does not seem cynical to me at all. Like,
no.
Right? Like, I was like, that's such a weird word.
That's not the right choice of word.
Agreed. I thought that was odd. I was like, honestly, the Wizard's First Rule seems cynical.
Sure.
Zedd seems cynical a lot. This is not one of those times.
And we already used that to describe the Wizard's First Rule. We're in the same chapter, boys. Like,
yeah, I was just like, this doesn't... it's cynical to say that Richard, likes getting in a flow state and has good intuition and too much information.
That's not cynical.
He gets, like, caught up thinking too much. That's not cynical. Anyway, I didn't know why she said that.
That's weird.
She said he's cynical. He's a human, not an arrow. But the metaphor wasn't that he was the arrow. The metaphor was he's shooting the arrow.
He's the archer. He's not the arrow.
I know.
And it's still not cynical, so...
No, it says he only does that because he loves and idolizes you. That...
What are we talking about?
I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know why we're doing two totally separate points and talking about them as if they're the same point. I don't see how that's cynical. I don't think Zedd implied that it was bad that Richard, like, he's like, yeah, I know. I'm just saying he does better.
This feels like...
I don't get
this
it.
This is gobbledygook.
It is. And Zedd says, there is no way I could be any more proud of him or love him anymore. But if he doesn't stop Dark and Raw, I will be a dead idol. Sometimes wizards must use people to accomplish what must be done. I mean... Sure.
Also, motherfucker, you're the strongest guy around. Sure. Easily. You're the strongest motherfucker in the whole damn world except for Dark and Raw, right? No one can stand up to you. And the only reason you think Richard needs to do this shit is because you read a prophecy. Otherwise, you should be hustling. You should be out here trying to 1v1 duel Dark and Raw right now.
He's, like, wise enough to know...
that he can't, so he won't?
No, like, how to use the prophecy without, like, over-relying on it, but also, like, taking elements of it and making sure they're in play.
Sure.
You know what I mean.
But also can't. I love him more than... there's no way I can love him more, besides telling him the truth about turning into Samuel. I wouldn't do that.
Well, he couldn't do that because... it would have prevented Richard from doing the thing that they need him to do.
I don't even know if it would.
I don't think it would have,
This guy would have done it.
I don't think
full
so.
knowledge, being like, I'll sacrifice myself for the greater good, maybe.
He thinks he's gonna die already.
They all do.
So, yeah. I don't know how much it really would have changed, to be honest with you. Zedd gets up to go to bed, and Kaylin shouts for him to ask a question, which was similar to Zedd shouting to Richard went to leave.
Oh, yeah.
And then Zedd was like, you're lucky she didn't confess you. And now Kaylin's like, hey.
Great. We're doing it again? Again?
You had a wife. What was it like? Loving someone more than life itself and being able to be with them and having them love you back. Zedd stood and stared at her for a while in the dark, and she thinks that he's not going to answer. And then she says, Wizard Zorander, I am not making a request. This is an order. You will answer the question. Which, I guess you were saying that I don't know. I kind of thought this was like her being like cheeky.
I don't know. I kind of thought it was a...
Is this cheeky or is this magic?
Is it cheeky or is it magic? That's the question.
He says, it was like finding the other half of myself and being complete, whole, for the first time in my life. Thank you, Zedd. I was just wondering. Yeah, do you think he didn't want to answer because it hurts him too much to think on it because he lost it, or because he doesn't want Kaylin to know how good it is?
Probably both.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's definitely not the worst, like the
parallel between.
Well, I don't know. What's the parallel, really?
Well, yeah, love being the theme, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think it's like a terrible moment for it to come up or anything, but it did kind of just feel like I was just like...
Also,
I guess it...
loss at the beginning of something and loss at the end of something. Because Richard is so distraught because he lost Kaylin before he ever got to have her. And then Zedd lost his wife after a full life of having her. And it's like, where's the pain? What's more painful? Is it better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all? That whole thing. You know, I feel like that's kind of the through line. I don't know.
It feels like a little out of place at the end of this chapter, just because so much of it was like dry prophecy discussion.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, whoa, sad.
We're forcing Zedd magically to trauma dump.
Yeah.
Real quick at the end.
But it's also not terrible. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, that came out of nowhere. But,
No.
You are just kind of like, oh shit, okay.
But also maybe the reason Richard is always getting angry at Zedd is his thing going on with Kayla, and the reason Zedd's being a dick this whole chapter is because he's carrying around. Oh my god,
that's the answer.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
He's carrying around this big wound too.
Right. So at the end of their conversation, Zedd kind of calls out Richard to be like, well, I don't know, let me like bring up the drama of you and Kaylin, because Zedd thinks that's why Richard's being such a testy little person, which if that's really what Terry wanted me to think, I needed the reasons he was getting mad at Zedd to have been stupider, right?
Oh yeah.
Like if you wanted to get across to me Richard actually is kind of just acting out and being over the top and being mean to everybody just because he can't deal with his own emotions about Kaylin, that's fine. I just needed to feel like it was way less justified. And these situations seemed like he was very justified. But anyway, but yeah, I do think Zedd probably...
He's a bit of a prick because Homelander boned me wife and stole me bloody son. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. I guess it's more that if... I don't know how flawed I'm allowed to think Zedd is. And I think if I felt I was allowed to think pretty flawed, I'd be a lot less irritated. And so I keep questioning that, like, as I'm reading through. And I'm getting extra irritated right now because we did read the next chapter in our hopeful state, wishing we'd be doing it now. And I feel the next chapter kind of doubles down on Zedd being kind of like infallible in some way and above everybody else in terms of like intelligence, his ability to rationalize, emotionally cope with things. And I'm kind of like, okay, then if that's the take, then I don't like the way he's being portrayed here, because it's not, I don't agree with it.
Consistently, I don't think Zedd ever thinks he's wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
But I do think at some point you're kind of like, that's just Zedd. At some point, I think you are kind of like...
Okay, but if...
He's cool because he's a wizard.
If the book agrees, that's weird. If the author in the book, like the text is like, he believes he's never wrong as a character, and also that is true, I'm like, no.
I don't know, can't you have a guy who's just kind of an asshole who is frequently right just by the
but
text?
He's not,
like, you know, like,
right.
For what? Like, what
like
are we saying?
Him being like... Well, first of all, him saying... Oh, I told you guys not to go fight Dark and Raw. I told you guys
that
did
never happen.
That is true. He is incorrect.
Yeah, how much of this is like poor planning? How much of it is like Terry forgetting? How much?
That's
of
what
this
I mean.
Is...
So like, I'm just like, already you fucked up. If that was supposed to be my end,
you're right.
You're
right. You're right. That's true. He implied it somewhere.
He did
off screen.
He did not. So anyway, that's my issue. I don't know. Okay, thank God. Thank God.
You ready to close the heavy doors on chapter 36?
I really am. I'm so happy to be moving on. You have no idea.
Oh, I know.
Do you know?
I know. How many more chapters do we have till your
red
leather ladies are here?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, moving on.
I don't know what will happen. Chapter 37, maybe it'll just be one and done. Maybe we'll add 38 in the mix. I have no clue.
You gotta look it up, but yeah, 37 looks like a little baby, but it might be enough meat. We'll see.
So how did you feel about chapter 36 at the end of it all?
Overall, long as hell.
Yeah.
Sucked a lot. Okay. I'm glad Zedd's back for like the fullness of the feeling. Yeah. So it's not just these two bubbling idiots fucking just walking around doing bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. But I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I didn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't. And I liked it because I wasn't even having the best time. But it was just like, all right, we're getting the meat. Give me the meat. Oh, is this a couple days old? This meat smells a little. But it's the meat. So here we are.
It felt weird. It felt like a halfway point, but it like definitely is.
Yeah.
We're past halfway.
Way past halfway. Yeah.
But it feels like it would be like a halfway into the
descending action of the third act, right?
Yeah.
This is the climax of the second act.
Well, it's not much of a climax, let's be real.
Whatever.
I don't know what it
the
is.
lore max. The fucking
exactly.
Yeah. We got the title. We got that. I'm just looking at this guy's face. What? You're such an asshole for naming this book that.
Yeah.
And then that's what it is.
Maybe like the 90s though.
I think they were. I think it was like Edgelord Heaven.
Edgelord Heaven, and like they just weren't exposed to that much.
No, you're right.
So like things seemed really cool and smart to them that just like would not be to us. That wraps up chapter 36.
So long.
We'll be back soon with a new chapter, thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah. So okay. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Game